2,800 second cutting. Wow. Alfalfa. Yeah, it's, well, I sell, bale.
All right.
About 1,200 straw bales a day. Okay. Somewhere around 6,000-7,000 a year.
You're busy. It's been
Busy enough.
yeah.
Yeah, busy enough.
All right, good evening. We'll go ahead and get started. I believe we have one on the way. I just was notified one of our members, family member had a bad bike wreck was what they stated, so we'll be unable to attend. But we'll go ahead and get started. Let's start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In attendance this evening, we have Mr. McKee, Mr. Harshbarger, and myself. Currently absent, we have KW Rice and also Jessica Anderson. Establishment of quorum, we do not have quorum, so we will not do any votes on it. We will continue right into what we do in the looking at the solar document and discussing that. Also wanted to get passed out. I do have a few extra copies, and we'll also get this posted on the website, comprehensive plan study group worksheet. So if any members of the audience would like that, if you want to fill out your name, your address, and you want to fill those things out, there's questionnaires on that. At the very end, as a short answer, so you have essay form. So if you like true false questions, there's no true false questions on this test. If you like fill in the blank, I put lots of those for you. On that, if you're a short essay kind of person, go to the back page and give us a short essay. Name and address on this. We're supposed to collect from Fountain County residents. So give us your name, because I truly covet. I think all of us do here on the commission.
I ask you why we're looking at the comprehensive plan. We just budgeted $50,000 a year before last and expended about 30 for a comprehensive plan. And we had public meetings across the county. So I just want to know why we're addressing the comprehensive plan again.
Comprehensive plan that we have found some areas that need to be shored up, and some we're supposed to be
I'm not going to spend any more money on a comprehensive plan if you're looking at spending any money on a comprehensive plan. So
yeah, I guess we'll bring that up with commissioners that we're supposed to look at.
$30,000 is way too much to begin with, and I'm not willing to expend any more money on updating a comprehensive plan that was just adopted within the last year or so.
Okay. Tyler 36 says we're supposed to, so I guess we can talk about that.
We just went through updating the comprehensive plan a year and a half ago or last year. I can't remember when. So I'm just not willing to spend any more money on that. It's an FYI. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So if you can fill that out, we can look at that, because we've been tasked by the commissioners. And it's something we're supposed to consistently look at to be able to make sure it is on point on that. We're in the midst of the looking at this. We've had this document out for, I think it was in March that we uploaded it to the website. So I didn't know if there was any more comments from the public. That's what we are doing right now, is gaining public comment on this as we are growing this, but then we will then be sending this to the experts not last month. It was in May. We had the two fire chiefs here discussing with us some concerns that they wanted to address. So we are noting that. We will then be getting this. So wanted to open up to any of the pages on that as people, if there was any comments that you wanted to make, things that you think we need to, this is to spur your conversation with us.
Here's my question. You went page by page back in May.
Yep.
And I forgot, I didn't mark where we stopped. Do you remember where we stopped?
Believe, if I remember correctly, I look back on that. I believe we were on page 15, if I remember correctly.
That's what I have marked.
That's the number if that I remember.
What was the,
We were talking on the poles and the underground wiring, the inverters, the safety and design was the major title there. We were talking about an inverter shall be a minimum of 750 feet from a dwelling and it must be encapsulated on that. So I didn't know. The thing I believe we were up next was somebody had said, and we were running out of time in April, was the somebody brought up PFAS compounds and things like that. That on page 16 is what my memory is recollecting. But if there's another page I was opening up for, we don't have to go page by page. Plenty of time has passed, so we can look on that, but if you have a specific page or.
John, Ryan doesn't have a copy of this.
Here, you can share out with John.
Oh, it's good for us.
The town hall. Yes, ma'am.
From your ASAR, asking additional questions of the Dolphins, I think those questions should be in the ordinance.
Okay. I'll reiterate the process that we're following. So in gaining, Title 36 tells us we're supposed to gain as we're looking, whatever it is in planning and zoning. In the comprehensive plan and the drafting of ordinances is the public's input. That's where we're at now. And we could bring this back together and we will have another meeting where it's publicized, where we are adopting and we'll give you the ordinance as would be submitted that goes into the newspaper, that goes on to the publicity standards that's given to us by the states in order to have by the state in order to have a meeting on this. So this is to spur that conversation. So we have kind of a basis of a talking point on it.
It's the state now that the distance between, I mean, if the solar farm went in across the road from me, before it said it had to be so much from the middle of the road versus right, and now it's said in the back, so they changed that.
I'm not sure your question. I apologize. What was your question again? I don't know. Setback. The setbacks? Did the state change the setbacks?
No, did you guys?
We've not made any changes to the solar ordinance.
Okay. How's it read now? The setback from the roadway.
That's found in, Article 9. So. Yeah, that's what we would refer to on that, and then that depends on also is, how it is zoned. So if it's an ag overlay, it would have a difference. If that's where the primary area is.
Just to say what those are.
That's in, I believe, Article, Article 2 has, some of the setbacks. Minimum lot square areas are all found on Article 2, not 11.
So John, it's my understanding, when we did the naming, we're getting input from us for setbacks. And so the numbers been changed.
We are not at the point, so if there's confusion, so in the process, we're not changing an ordinance yet. Because the ordinance hasn't been compiled. We're gaining input from the public so that you can help guide our thought process of what does the county want. Then we send it off to an engineer, we send it off to a lawyer, we send it off, we're identifying experts that we have to be able to draft the draft ordinance. To then hold the public meeting, to have the public hearing, just like we had, like when we did the moratorium, for instance. You have to have a public meeting, on it, a public hearing, I think is the technical term. We then vote to pass it up to the, commissioners, we give a positive vote, a negative vote, or a neutral, vote on it. What we are in the midst of now is that process where we are hearing preloading, if you will, the process that we're hearing from the public. This is, I guess, putting power in the people's hands. Hey, we want setbacks. The question is setbacks. What number is it? What number is the community looking for?
We discussed that.
Correct.
That's what we.
Yeah, but there's not been a change because we can't change it until we draft the ordinance. But you're helping us draft the ordinance. That's what we're supposed to do.
How long do we have for this has to be set in stone, so to speak?
How long do we have?
Moratorium until
The end of the moratorium is, I believe, December 30th, 2026.
And essentially, we're running out of time. We've got to put something together.
Yeah, we have to draft an ordinance, but we have to follow what Title 36 tells us that we can't just. We don't have to just hold a public meeting because also Title 36 says we have to host meetings in order to hear from the county. More meeting, I mean, I'm not trying to host meetings on end. I think if there's, I mean. We've now had, this will be the third meeting about it, so we'll be, is there something specific? We've gotten setbacks. And we'll begin in, yes, ma'am.
At one time, I thought that setbacks in the back of my yard would be more than having setback from the front of my yard. So there's a road running in front of my yard. I think that needs to be. And I don't have that in front of me.
Are you talking about it on solar, or are you talking about setbacks of putting up a shed?
No, solar. But that's what we're wrong.
Setbacks?
who's compiling all of the information that you're getting from people that
We've been all taking notes and we're gonna Then the next portion is, then we're gonna have a discussion when we get the members together, and we're gonna have what, because we're gaining information as we're supposed to on a continuous basis.
John, you have to know, are there any commercial solar farms built on prime agricultural land that have been decommissioned? The ground return reconstruction conditions are anywhere they want to. I didn't think so. So,
I'm unaware of that.
so, when they talk about returning to as close to possible as what it was, it's kind of a theory. Not, there's no way.
I remember which meeting it was. Somebody said, how are we defining, that's in my notes? How do we define prime agricultural land? Who gets to decide? I don't remember who brought that up, but that's why we're doing this, because you're helping us to be able to do, that's why you're representing us.
How long has solar farms been in existence?
How long they what?
How long is solar farms? But I don't have that answer. I don't know when was the first proverbial solar farm created? I don't.
So we actually haven't had it long enough to know what's happening.
Well, they've had them long enough in the western states that they don't want them anymore.
Yeah, here's the topic, call California and there was one big solar reflector farm that was pushed big time when I was in college in 2010 as a model for the rest of the industry. They commissioned that. And yeah, it's not decommissioned because federal funding stopped coming and we inefficient and without that federal investment, they couldn't make money on it, which is pretty much where all the reasons anything that's whether it's the ethanol, we were back then we looked at 10 different plants in those Indiana alone. Those all got pushed aside. I'd say California and battery all the for the West would be the investigation to find that out.
Any other areas that you would like us to consider before we continue into that?
I think I already mentioned in one of the meetings, placing a cap, now of acreage.
How many acres, Deb?
I heard that's somehow controlled by the amount of megawatts is that correct?
And that's where, so that kind of question is noted to be able to ask someone who can give us that, okay, so we want to set a cap. So then if we want to set a cap and we make a number up, the number's X. Well, then how do you, so then that's where we need to have a person that knows how to do that to then refer to the lawyer. That's how the process is supposed to, and that's why we're following that process instead of we have experts that we can tap into instead of us guessing, because guessing will open up our hinder parts to the greater potential of litigation. How I guess, like no one.
Is there any limit or whatever set for how much of the power that is produced by the area the farm is supposed to give us? How much of that goes to our area? I make that clear.
So if I understand, if I'm hearing correctly, you're saying is there a number that we would want to place that X percentage of, or X amount of the power that is collected at said place has to stay within Fountain County.
Yes. So that we get credit.
Electricity doesn't work that way. It
No,
just,
That's
sure it doesn't, but it just seems like there should be something that comes back to us from all of them that putting up there. Why do we have to put up with that? We're not putting anything back.
I'll reiterate, not to sound like I'm proverbially beating the dead horse. That kind of question is why I'm collecting this now, so I can refer to the person that can make that. But I don't disagree with Mr. McKee. But and that's where we want to be responsive to the questions. Thank you for them.
Lincoln Blair, I was just looking at that, my question, because once, you know, they study it, so there's no glint or glare to
Okay.
residents. But how is it fixed if it becomes an issue?
What page number are you on?
I don't know, I don't have the same one you have.
Oh, okay.
Three
she's,
13 on mine.
I think she's got this one. Are you looking at this one right here? Yeah.
Okay.
I was just wondering, you know.
Maybe that's the same. I don't know.
She said.
I remember it was addressed. So yeah, I got that in. I say I've got that, in this, the one I'm referring to here.
Is that online?
Yes, ma'am. So this one, the one you're looking at here is, go back to here. How many pages is this? This is 11 pages. The one I'm referring to here is like 30 something pages, 36, 37, 38, somewhere around in that. I believe it's numbered March 2025 on the website. So March 2025. I apologize, I don't have memorized where, but I remember in it, it does have, like on page 13, no more than 10% may be located on prime farmland. That's on page 13, just for reference, you know, and that's. But there was something about, in one of the meetings, I remember page 17 on what we're looking at. I think you've got it, Jim, page 17, color and finish and glare. In addition to any applicable federal aviation requirements that now exist and the same are amended from time to time, you know, and then if they don't follow this, that's one of the things that was brought up. I don't remember if it was in a meeting. I think somebody told me in passing at it. And that's where I'm trying to collate. It's not just in meetings that people talk to me, you know, they see me at the gas station and they're like, well, if they violate this, what's the penalty of doing that? Well, I think we need to have that conversation. If you don't put a sign that's exactly 4 foot by 8 foot, it's, you know, 3 foot 11.5 inches. I don't know that we need to fine you $500,000 per day, per minute, per, you know, but if you did a safety violation, well, there's another, as the Wizard of Oz, the guy at the gate said, that's a horse of a different color. I think that's one of the things that, you know, I'm hearing we've got to have, somebody told me was teeth in these. And I said, well, let's look at, and that's where I've asked the attorney, I said, what's the teeth that we are legally allowed to do by the state? Well, that changed because of this Senate bill and that House bill and that Court of Appeal ruling of this and that. And that's where we have the advice from the experts. So.
Yeah, of course, these panels on periodically,
Say again?
do they work on these panels periodically?
That's one of the questions when we bring the solar panel companies in, I think we can ask them that question. If they so choose to go.
Does it have to be well water? Out of a creek, whatever, farm?
Those are all good questions.
I mean, that's gonna be a lot of water to wash it down. And why is the solar farm that's going over there by that spur different from what's going on in over here?
They might have different rules than we have.
Could be different colors.
They don't look like they have driven any stakes or moved any land, I mean, any dirt or anything. Have you seen those?
What you say, state your question again.
Have you seen the solar farm that's over there by Lake Spur in Danville?
No, I have not. Is it on I-74 someplace? On what?
The debt's office is there,
Okay,
the gas station, the school waste office.
in Illinois. Okay, no, I have not seen that.
Purpose industry property. But, they basically drove a pile on the sand, they didn't do any underground infrastructure, just drove it.
Well, it might be broke.
And there's a weed patch right now, I'm hoping I can change. It's definitely not law. They claim. Illinois, like you said, Illinois is going to be a little bit different. And every county is then blindsided by this because they boost the zoning laws, claiming it's going to keep it up. What the zoning does is it allows them to find the little loopholes and just move in, and that's basically what that does. The many counties within the United States, we're all under the same. Yes.
It doesn't look like they reached.
No, they don't.
They're fixed.
So one of those and, if you found a change, we're going to be on the floor.
That's the really cheaper. We're more active.
Any other questions on this? Any other inputs you would like to have?
It's kudos for raising the application.
I remember that from, I believe that was April, that was brought up.
Considering all of the, I don't know what the amount is for that application fee, but considering all of the people that are gonna have to look at it, all the experts are gonna have to look at it, will it cover the expenses for having those experts look at it? And is there a possibility of making it, instead of having it, this is the total application fee, maybe there's an application fee that they pay us, and then they pay the expenses for the experts to look at it?
Well, that has been brought up in, for instance, like when we do the rezoning, if you will. The county has to send out registered, certified, I don't remember the term of the mail. I think I got the right one. If I didn't, I apologize. It's the one that we know that it got delivered and the person has to sign for it, whatever that one is. And it costs extra more than the 70 something cents or whatever a forever stamp is now. But it's a $50 fee to do a rezoning. But if there's around a, X site that would potentially be rezoned, there could be multiplicity of landowners around there, and the county pays out more than it brought in. That is one of the things that has been being looked at, and I'm delving outside of solar for a minute to rein myself back in and call myself out of order. But it's not just those fees that we will be looking at as we are looking at all of this, so that we have everything actually planned out in our ordinances and such. So hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah.
And probably gave a little bit more too.
Are all of the studies enumerated in the new proposed ordinance that are kind of piggybacks on all of the things that Carol mentioned, that the studies that Roger Agar asked for from Dolphin, are they enumerated? The EPA study, the rain study, the impact on nature, the natural wildlife, all of I don't remember all of them now, but are all of those enumerated in the new? Are all of those studies?
I don't have the list of all of those studies. The conversation from tonight and from, I believe it was April, we know we need to get those,
Okay.
but those aren't, I'm not trying to say it in a wrong way, but this is not a draft ordinance. This is a spurring conversation. So as you read over it, you go, hey, should we put this in it? And that's exactly, I'm watching happen what we need to have happen. So then that way we're discussing it, because then we don't just have one public hearing and we have one whack at it. That's how we whoops-a-daisy and end up, you know, I mean, I hear Mr. McKee, I don't want to spend more money, but I also want to make sure that we're, you know, ship shape, that we make sure that we're doing the right thing. So all of those pieces, so yes, but no. Or no, but yes.
For these companies apply for some kind of permission, permit to come in here. And they contact anybody they want to. If they're interested in putting something on their land. And our neighboring properties also informed it's something might be going in.
So you're speaking of the notification, you're wanting to see notification of if you're in parcel, you know, you're on parcel 1, which touches parcel 2, parcel 2 decides to put XYZ in, you want notification of that as
Yes.
parcel land 1 over. I believe I have that noted. I'll make sure I put that in notification of, I believe that is.
I'm not sure what all was been covered in that.
Yeah, and I was, you know, before they sign anything, hopefully the plan.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Is there a way to work that so that to apply for minimum or they even go behind the past tables?
Well, that brings up an interesting,
Disclosure contract side.
that's an interesting, I mean, that's an interesting, concept. And I mean, you guys can feel free to weigh in on that, but some of the stuff, I mean, it is a free world that we live in, so I can sign a contract. It's that balance that we talked about, and I think it was the March meeting, I believe it was, that we talked about, you know, how much, I mean, I think it was, I'm slipping my mind your name, I believe it's, John, it's John, right? You said about, yes, about, building your shed or building the deck in the back of your property. Well, we could write an ordinance that says you have to have, red oak, and it has to be, you can make these ordinances. But I'm not hearing that from our community. That's not what we're looking for. If you want to, go move to an HOA and create your own HOA, and you can have red oak on the front porch and on the back porch, and you can make them have wood shingles up on the top too. So it's that fine balance between personal liberty and hold on a second, we need to know what you're putting in over there. Because the guys and gals from the fire department in the big red truck that puts the wet stuff on the red stuff need to know so that they can pre-plan. Because there's some terrible chemicals out there that react with H2O. It goes boom when you put H2O on it. You could, there's, there was a fire up in Lafayette today. A tanker's on fire. Well, they have to know what's in that tank. Do you put water on it? Do you, and I'm not trying to play, you're the fire chief guy, battalion, whatever. You wear white, that's where's that personal liberty versus, on that. I call it hoe in the corner really close. Because we need to know, so we're encroaching on your personal liberty. But at the same time, I don't need to tell John that he can't build a deck that's bigger than 8 by 8. Because if he wants to build it at 10 by 10, and he can go down to the lumber yard and buy enough lumber to make a 12 by 12 if he wants to, Lord bless her. Does that answer your question? And that's, I hope I didn't come across preachy. But that's.
Just have to let the assessor know. There's different rules for commission and for assessors.
Exactly. And that's, we do have to, that's a way they, so. But I do have that written down, notification of adjoining landowners, and we can look at that and refer that to because my question is what can we and can't we by state law require? And we'll refer that to the lawyer to say, hey, shape it up so that we can, and we're shifting. Carol, do you have a question?
Yes, does the county have a soliciting ordinance?
I don't
That would
know.
keep the people that are wanting to put in solar farms coming around talking to the other farmers.
I don't know if we have a solicitation. That wouldn't be under planning and zoning. That would be a ordinance that's passed, I believe, by if I'm not mistaken, by the commissioners would have to come up with that. That's that's at their pay grade.
And there's been I wouldn't say there's been discussion, but there's been, I wouldn't say discussion has taken place, but that has been bandied about. That's solicitation.
I think I've seen it on social media or something.
I'm not on social media. I'm just kind of restating what a couple of councilmen have said that we need to have a solicitation ordinance. Yeah.
Now, going back to notification, you were saying adjoining landowners. What are you ladies saying? Are you saying adjoining, or are you just saying neighbor? Because rezoning, this I live within a half a mile. But they wanted to rezone and I was not really about it. They just wanted to rezone that, and what I was wanting to do.
So are you proposing to?
So what I'm saying is, my piece of property lay within less than a half a mile, but it did not adjoin to the property that was going to get rezoned, so I was not notified. So if they're wanting to be notified about solar, if they don't have adjoining property.
Yeah, it needs to be broader than just adjoining.
So what would you?
Well, it needs to be
Yeah.
all the way around.
Yeah,
Rezoning.
So what are you proposing of a radius? What's the radius from ground zero per se? What are you proposing?
What do I propose?
I would say,
Okay, good one.
I don't know.
yeah. I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's like Northern Fountain County, the entire Northern Fountain County needs to be, should have been notified what was going on with.
That was when, that's what I told myself, they don't all, and I know they're going in, we're talking 4,500 acres.
Well,
For Dalton.
I don't have an update on that. I don't know.
It's interesting, I think there's a reps involved.
Sorry.
No, there is. I'm finished.
Sorry, are you, Sue? We can surmise of what Dolphin is or isn't doing at a different time. Is Are you, so maybe you said it, that's why it spurred in my mind. I apologize, I didn't catch that of the 1 mile. But are you saying of landowners or are you saying residents within 1 mile? Because if I'm, I mean, I don't know, that just popped in my mind, so I'm thinking the crowd, like.
So, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So of landowners and residents within 1 mile, okay? Thank you for bringing that up, that's.
So this, I think of Christine Lane and I was thinking of, letting, then you put this.
2341, yeah.
For business. Station.
So just, it was noted in here so that we make sure that we talk about it. I don't remember what page it was, if I can quickly find it, was value, if value goes down, was one of the things of that, of finding out, and then was the, I'm not immediately finding, I apologize, but I remember it being in here. I don't have the page numbers memorized yet. Do they have money in, I remember one of the questions from one of the past meetings, was it in escrow or was it in a bond or something like that? And so we're going to be looking at that. So then if it does harm values, then there is a way to, recompense that back on that. So those are questions that we have to have.
Who determines whether the property value is going down or not?
That was one of the questions we had was, do we send it out to 2 or 3 or 5 appraisers? Is it market value? That was, I remember, one of the things. And again, if it wasn't in a actual meeting, it was somebody brought it up and I'm trying to keep track of, I don't have my list in front of me, but make sure we tick all these points.
And does that address what trees can be planted? Because I'm having concern about the invasive trees.
What trees would be planted, I'm not sure. What's that mean?
That would have to be in the ordinance also.
Oh, you mean like a barrier for like, so for sightage? Like,
What species of barrier?
Oh, yeah.
Plants they would use, yeah.
So that's addressed there.
that is in our, it was noted in there of barriers. So then, the ordinance isn't gonna look like this 37-page document, FYI. It's gonna have, this is again, spurring our conversation to then now look in legalese. And then we'll have that, we'll draft that. And then we will have, I reiterate, because I've already had that phone call. So this is the public hearing. You're not gonna have a public hearing about the actual ordinance. If you hear that, tell them they're lying to themselves, because that is never what I've said. That is not where we're headed. We're having the conversation, preloading it, because Title 36 tells us to do it. I know it's never been done before, and we did it different ways, but we are having a public hearing about the actual ordinance that will actually go into the Fountain County ordinance. So let's go ahead and put that one to rest,
You're going to update those ordinance from time to time and bring back to us so we can ask questions.
That's what we're supposed to do on all of this planning and zoning, because it has mandated by.
That have been updated. Is there one on the internet been updated with all the questions we've asked in the past?
Oh,
I'm not understanding your question.
she's confusing that's what we're going through now with an actual ordinance.
Yeah, we haven't updated that.
I've been asking several questions that you keep saying that's already been addressed.
So the process is, we discuss it. Then I have to contact an attorney, I've got to get with an engineer, I've got to get with a person, for instance, the glint and glare. We got to make sure that it's glint and glare appropriate. We got to get the experts to then draft the actual ordinance, to then have the public hearing on that ordinance. Then we vote on it, and we then send it quote unquote, up to the commissioners.
Well, I'd like to see something where all the questions been asked, been addressed.
So
And that will be coming once we get the actual ordinance drafted, so we can have the public hearing on that. This is an informational gathering session.
So you're saying you would like to see a list of questions that have come up during the previous meetings?
Yeah, I know I'm not making myself.
So that it could be looked at again.
Yeah,
For the
well,
next
you asked
meeting.
the same question. You said been addressed before.
He's just saying that those have been asked and they will be discussed. Those questions that you've been asking will be discussed in a future
If I had a sheet
meeting.
of paper with questions already been asked, I wouldn't be repeating them. Yeah.
Understandable.
Once we get ordinance
Yes, ma'am.
written, and it's basically presented, do we still have an option to tweak that prior to finalize?
Yes, there is a way so we have 10 days to publish them, I mean, that's the bare minimum. We have to publish the public hearing, so the ordinance has to be publicized. Then, if there's massive tweaks, my plan is that we have it out even in advance to that. And we do the proofread before, so then that way, most of these things have already been hashed out. Instead of having that one meeting that we're all begging, can we go, please go home at 1 a.m. because we haven't had supper. And I'm being way more dramatic than life really is. That way, we don't curtail any public comment. So we look at it multiplicity of times. But bare bones, according to state statute, we have that public hearing that we have to hold. And then you have another hearing that the commissioners have to hold in order to adopt the ordinance. So yes, you have 2 points. Yes, for sure. But I'm telling you, what I'm going to do is when we get this, then we're going to look over the ordinance again, previous to the actual public hearing.
That answers your question.
So that we'll see it drafted that time.
Yes. Oh, yeah. But then that way, then it's all written down and we can look at it and this is pretty darn close, everybody, right? Oh, no, we tweaked that. No, that number doesn't add up. We're all human. At least I am, maybe I'll see.
Maybe for careful, if you have a list of questions for ask, it might spur.
Somebody wants to take notes. In order to be able to do that, I'm more than willing to make you an honorary secretary. I'll even give you a pen and a highlighter.
You're not going to read my notes.
You got an actor's handwriting? I've got a artist's side. What other things on this? So a couple things that just laying out. So then, as we go into this, then we will start meeting, and having, as I've said before, multiple times, we gather information from you guys. This is all, I call it front end loading. Then we start having the discussion. So in the next meetings that we have, you're going to hear us discussing back and forth. Because I'm sure Mr. McKee has gotten phone calls or some sort of communication, maybe semaphore flags or smoke signals. I'm not sure, but he's got some form of communication. He's heard from other council members, and so he weighs in on that side. And then we have that discussion. It's not that we're shutting you guys out at the end of the meeting. We will have public comment time. You guys will get a chance on it. We could be like, oh, all of a sudden, did something change? No, now we have to discuss it. So then we can be able to get it. So then we can be able to have it. So then where are we going to put it? And I'm going to assign people to be able to help me out in that. Then we'll bring it back. Then we'll send it off to, we'll send it off to the experts. We'll bring it back and collate it again on that. So then kind of casting to you, know what's next. But the next meeting isn't going to start with, hey, how about you guys? It's then, now we're going to discuss it and be able to have the discussion amongst the commission here. So just to kind of give you an idea of where we are headed on this. Any other comments? So we'll, that section of the, you have anything on solar or something else?
No, also,
So we'll end the next part on solar. And we now have, as we have had for, all the months that, I've had the pleasure of being chair, public comment. Mrs. Anderson.
where you win, we're gonna see the videos from these meetings online. There's no agendas, there's no minutes. The last agenda, I think, was in May. There's been no minutes put on. The last video was back in April.
Those didn't get updated? Okay. APC videos need to be uploaded, agendas not uploaded, and minutes not uploaded. I know the last minutes that have been approved would have been April's minutes. We've not had a full meeting since April. So we haven't had a meeting to be able to approve any minutes. So I know on that one, but it's just on that. But I'll check on those. Thank you. Anyone else? Public comments?
It's like the average of things.
Ebbs and flows.
Um,
One time we had to go up to the courtroom because we had so many people, but sometimes we have 3 people here. This has been about the average, I would say, give or take. Next meeting will be scheduled, we have scheduled is August 28th, or Thursday, August 28th. Thursday evening, 6 p.m. Pelham County Courthouse. 47932. So we can get this uploaded. I get this uploaded as soon as possible, just as a way of announcement. So if you can get this, help us out on that. That would be fantastic. And get this. So if you know of friends, Romans, countrymen, in-laws, outlaws, all those other things, we'd love to hear on that. So we can do that. Mr. McGee, any comments?
No, I'm good.
Mr. Harshbarger,
Good.
baptism by fire, pun intended. Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Make the motion. You make the motion, Tim?
I guess so, yeah.
You making the second?
Since we have.
August
When did you say the next meeting would be?
28th is when it's scheduled.
August 28th?
Yeah, 6 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
Initiation by fire.
Yeah.